And I told you guys that we had a special guest, Bishop over there being Bishop. I told y'all that we have a special guest, Miss Terri Lomax, and I am so happy to welcome her. Well, let me change that. We are so happy to welcome her to the Partymode Live crew and to the Partymode Live platform. So, without further ado, you guys, our featured guest, brand strategist, Terri Lomax. We are so excited to have you.
Thank
Your
you.
bio, I'm gonna just say, is one that really piqued my interest, and I was just like, I cannot wait to talk to this lady. So I hope you're as excited as we are, all the way from
I
San
sure am.
Francisco.
Yes, yes, I am as excited as you are. It's been a long day. So, am I just put the baby down? So, if my energy is low, that's why, but I'm so excited.
No problem, no
Mm.
problem. So I'll try not to yell there because I'm a very loud speaker. So yeah.
You're good.
Shut up, Bishop. Shut up.
You think?
He's like, "Mom."
So let's start out with, where are you from?
Yes. So, I'm from Philly originally. I'm from Southwest Philly. And although I'm from Philly, I was raised in San Diego for 10 years. So, I feel
Okay.
like I'm from both places. Yeah. But I claim Philly.
Got a little Tupac in you, East and West.
Got a little twang coming out every now and then.
Yeah.
So according to this beautiful bio, you have your bachelor's of science in business administration and master's of arts in conflict analysis and dispute resolution. And you did all of that before the age of 24. Tell us what that journey was like.
Y'all got some time? Y'all got time, right? Because let me tell you. Well, let me say, so growing up, right, I had a really rough upbringing. I was raised in an abusive household where I was physically and verbally abused, and my mom was also in and out of jail. And so my younger siblings, they were really my motivation. And so I was really, I wouldn't necessarily say I was a square, but I was like very focused. I was a nerd. I was very focused on my studies. And I remember when I went to college, everyone, a lot of my friends were partying, they were out doing the thing. And I was like, oh no, this degree is my ticket out of poverty. So I need to figure this out. So I was driving home on weekends to take care of my siblings and I'd be going to school. And so for me, it was very important to get an education. And as you can hear, I think you may be able to hear that life is happening outside. But yeah, it was very important for me to get an education and pursue some kind of career field that would allow me to get out of the predicament that my family was in.
Mhm,
So that's why I was so adamant about getting those degrees, just going right through, because I was like, I got it. I cannot be living in the environment that I'm living in now. For me,
mhm.
that was homelessness, right? It was just a lot of chaos and drama, and it wasn't good for my spirit. And so I really wanted out. So that's what motivated me.
Bishop.
So I notice I come across a lot of celebrities and their stories. They came from poverty, they were homeless when they became adults, and the family left them, or abusive situations, or having parents that are on drugs and things like that. Like, and we tend to hear the same type of motivation, like that made me want to do this and made me want to do that. But doing that doesn't mean that's what you're meant to do. So
Mm,
the things that you're doing, when did it hit you like, oh, this is what this is what I'm here for? Like, it's one
you
thing
know,
to love your siblings and try to, do something for them, but at the same
mm,
time, what made you feel like this was it?
two things. So one, I'll say in church, like I was raised in church. My grandparents used to say like I was born on the pulpit. So my grandfather's a bishop. He was a bishop. Grandmama pastor. Like we were raised in church every Sunday, Wednesday Bible study, after service, all that. And so for me, my parents used to make me speak in church, and I used to hate it because I was the worst speaker. I would get so nervous. I would have like a frog in my throat, like I'm about ready to cry. And like it's children's church, or what is it, youth Sunday, and they're like voluntolding me, right? I wasn't volunteering, I
Mhm,
was voluntold to go up and speak. So I was like, oh my gosh. And so as I began to do that, I think I got comfortable with it, and I started to share my story in church. And I was like, oh, I was still nervous, but I was like, I kind of like this. Like this feels like it gives me some sense of fulfillment, and it's empowering other people. So that was where I learned that speaking might be a career path for me. And then as far as my siblings, I think in the beginning, how when y'all have siblings?
yes.
Hmm.
Okay. Where are you at? Like, are you oldest, middle?
I'm the
How does that
baby.
work?
I'm the
You're the
baby of
baby.
5.
Ooh.
I'm in the
Ooh.
middle.
You're in the middle. Okay. So I don't know if this will apply, but you know how siblings are annoying, like a lot of times, right? So I was like the second
All of
eldest, all of them, right? And so
yeah.
my siblings used to get on my nerves. I'm sure I was such a mean sister, but I think what happened was our dad had passed away, and life was just hard. And I was in college at the time. And I remember I got this bill from my university. Now, I don't come from money. I didn't have no college fund like many of us. I didn't have no college fund waiting for me. Like I had to work and get scholarships and loans and all that. And I remember getting this bill from my university. And basically, the bill was like, you need to pay us $10,000 or you got to drop these
Mm,
classes. You can't be sitting up in these classes. So I was so depressed because, again, this degree is my ticket out of poverty. I'm like, how am I going to pay for school? And so I thought it was the end for me. And this is right after my dad had passed away. And I remember being home alone at the time. And I had decided on that day that I was going to take my own life because I felt like the weight of the world was on my shoulders. So everything from my dad passing away, having this bill from school, taking care of my siblings, and I kind of felt like, did something like, am I not supposed to make it? Like, like, what does my future look like? Because it felt like every time I would take a step forward, I was pushed back 3 steps. And so I remember that day I was crying on my bathroom floor by myself, and I heard something outside. And so I ran to my window in my bedroom. It was my little brother. He was coming home early. And my plan was to go into my mom's room and to take whatever medication she had in there. Cause I was like, I'm just done. I can't, I
mm,
literally couldn't do it anymore. And so when my little brother came home and I saw my other siblings coming behind him, in that moment, I was like, this is a sign. Like, they are my why. And so from that day forward, I think the way that I was their sibling changed because I valued them in a different way. And so, Bishop, to go back to your question about like what made you know that was your path, I think it was in that moment that I figured, you know what, I'm here for a reason. I have something bigger than myself to believe in because I couldn't depend on me and my motivation. Like the motivation I told you I had
Yeah.
to get out of poverty, that wasn't enough in that moment. So it was my siblings that really like held me.
yeah,
That's part of the journey though. Like we all born into our own journey. And
Mm-hmm.
other people come in and help you with that journey, but it's
Yep.
not up to them to understand what you're going through because one, it's your journey, not theirs. So they're not even
Mm-hmm.
meant to understand you. Some people do have that talent and that will to understand you, but
Yeah.
just wanting to sit there and take your life and we
Yeah.
can say all the positive things we want to, but it's not meant for us to understand how you feel. It's only meant for us to go through our
mhm,
journey. Part of our journey is talking to you, maybe helping you
Yeah.
and thinking we helping you,
Yeah.
but you also got to find your own way. So it's like, as humans, it's crazy.
Yeah. It is. It's intense at times, right?
Crazy,
It's intense.
crazy.
Yeah.
definitely, definitely is. So you came up from that and did like a whole change and everything. When did life actually start like taking a turn of becoming great and you got found your happy place?
Mm. Well, that's a really good question. I have to think back to that. I would say that, well, one of the things that I learned, my pastor used to say this. He used to always say, and hopefully I don't butcher the quote, but he used to always say, you're either coming out of a traumatic, like he said something like you're either coming out of a chaotic situation, you're in a chaotic situation, or you're on your way into it. So basically, what I took that to mean is that there are seasons in life. And so, although life probably I would say got better around maybe like grad school or so, or maybe when I got my first real job and I was like, oh, I'm making some money, but I still faced adversity. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even through those times. And so I realized, I remember when I was in grad school, though, I had did all the things that everyone told me to do. So I went to school, I got good grades, I got a good job, I had my own place, I had my own car, and this is early in my 20s. And I did all this, and I remember sitting in my room one day, and I was like, okay, I'm at the top of the mountain. Like everybody said, it's supposed to be amazing. And I did not feel fulfilled. And I was like, I still feel empty. I'm like, how I'm living in a shelter
Mm,
and I'm broke and I'm empty. And now I got a little bit of money and I got my stuff together and I'm getting this master's degree and I'm still empty. Like, what's going on? So I realized that there are seasons in life. And so for me, I really work on finding internal happiness, internal peace outside of my marriage, outside of being a mother, outside of my job, outside of the roles that I have, because at the end of the day, like it's just, I'm who I see in the mirror. You know what I mean? And so those things,
yeah.
although it brings me joy, like I really work on being in relationship with
I
myself.
heard that you have a book coming out. Can you talk to us about this book?
Yes. So actually, in 2020, I released this book, right? It's called How to Glow Up as You Grow Up, your go to guide for overcoming obstacles and making lemonade. And basically, many of us have heard that saying, right? When life gives you lemons,
Hmm.
Mhm. Make
what they say?
lemonade,
What they
yep.
say? Make lemonade. So I'm a vet. Sometimes I used to say, like, am I slow? Because I need stuff to be broken down for me. I'm like, that sounds cute. Make lemonade. How, Sway? How we making lemonade though? Like,
Yeah,
what are the steps?
I put
You know
liquor
what I
in it.
mean? What you say?
Yeah, I put liquor in it.
Oh, see, here you go.
Yeah.
Oh, but there you go. That's one of the ingredients, right? Like that's the lemonade you're gonna make. I feel like people always said that, but there were no next steps. It was like, okay, well, what are the ingredients, right? Like, what do I do? My dad passed away. Okay, y'all, how am I making lemonade from this, right? And so in the book, I basically walk through various obstacles that I faced and I talk about how I actually made lemonade and I break it down like this is a step by step guide on what it actually
Mm.
looks like in action to make lemonade. So I'll give you a quick example. So I don't want to make this too long winded, but when I was 17 years old, I was chosen from my church to go on this missions trip to Trinidad and Tobago to like to
Ooh.
help to one learn more about myself, but also to help less fortunate communities. And so my parents raised all this money because again we didn't have money. Raised all this money for me to go on this trip. Literally the day before I go on this trip, my dad passes away in our hotel room, literally like in Virginia on the way to this trip. And so that for me was an extremely traumatic situation. And it was on July 21st, 2007 that my dad passed away. And
Mm.
it took me a long time to heal from that and to process that and to move through that traumatic experience. And so what I decided to do was I decided to make lemonade, right? So make some meaning or find purpose out of a difficult or adverse situation. And so what that looked
Mhm.
like for me was it was like, you know what? I'm not going to be depressed every July 21st. I'm going to repurpose that day. So 8 years later, my dad never got a chance to meet my husband, but I decided to get married on that day in the same church that my dad's funeral was in, right? So I
Oh.
repurposed the whole meaning of that, then launched my book on July 21st of 2020, right? So I was repurposing that day so that it wasn't a day of depression and sadness, but now I'm making lemonade, right? So now it's a day of celebration, celebrating love, celebrating family. And so that's kind of what the book really maps out for folks.
Let everybody know where they can purchase this book at because I'm definitely interested in reading it.
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much. You can go to glowupbook.com. So that's GLOWUP book.com.
Glowupbook.com. Y'all know how I am about purchasing stuff from our guests. One of the last guests we
Thank
had on
you.
here. Look, I got the 49 so fine, Bishop.
That's
Okay.
That get yeah,
support.
uh-huh. Yep,
I
I
didn't,
found it.
I didn't
Yay.
call
Look
your
at
mama.
that.
I'm
Yay.
There
holding
we
them
go.
flying.
Yes, I see it. Thank you. I appreciate it. And you can get the digital copy as
Yeah.
well, all that good stuff. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Now,
How
see,
you?
to me, if I get the digital copy, I'm never gonna read it. Like, I have to
I feel
have the
you.
physical. I need
Me
tangible
too.
things.
I like to take notes in
Yeah.
there and highlight. Yes.
So
Yes.
this here is a two-part question. As a kid,
Hmm.
you not really understanding the sacrifices people make for you.
Hmm.
So do have you spoken to your siblings about the sacrifices? That's the first question. And secondly,
Okay.
how do they feel about where you at now, knowing what you've done?
Yeah, you know what's funny, Bishop? So I thought about that a lot, like growing up at 17, basically raising these kids, right? And really being a mother figure to them. And like you said, sacrifice so much that I don't even know if they notice, especially the boys, because y'all know how boys are a little different. My sisters, I think they probably do, but every once in a while, like on Mother's Day and on my birthday and stuff like that, as they get older, because they're now like teenagers now, they will say things that just make my heart, so happy. So I think that they may realize it to some degree, but I
Mhm.
didn't want to be the person that told them. You know what I mean? Like I let them.
Mm.
They know what it was. They know what the journey was. Like they know what we experienced together. And so when they have those moments, that I don't want to be the one that's like reminding them, like, oh, I did this for you. But when they have those moments, it's so special to me because I think that they see it. But what I think is going to happen, Bishop, is when they have kids one day, they're going to be like, oh, this is what she was doing. And I think even at the age, I remember my sister when she was 17, and she was like, I couldn't imagine being the age that I'm at right now, taking care of nobody else's kids. And I was like, girl, it was real. It was real out in these streets, but it's a blessing, it was definitely a blessing. It taught me a lot. It saved my life, literally, right? And I think as far as how they feel about me now, I think they're proud of me based on what they say. And they've always shown me so much love and admire me. And I think the last Mother's Day, they thanked me for being there for them and like being a mother figure, when our mom wasn't there. And so I appreciate that.
Let everybody know where they can find you at on social media, and then give your website one more time so that way everybody can go buy that book. Y'all better buy that book.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, so you can find me on social media at Terri Lomax. That's Terri with an I, so TerriLomax. That's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. Instagram is my playground, so let's connect on Instagram at Terri Lomax. And to get the book, you can head on over to glowupbook.com. That'll take you right over to the Amazon page to get your copy. I'm Terri Lomax. You're tuned into Partymode Live, the party before the party.
You did it. One take. Let's go.
One take, one take.